Yo, what's up? This your boy Derek Branch here of Saint Discussions on Strike 7 Sports. In today's video, I just want to talk about a recent article that was put out, I believe, yesterday, March 31st, on the idea of the Saints possibly trading up for the Ohio State University Buckeyes wide receiver Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Jaxon Smith-Njigba. They call him JSN. Now, many of you already know JSN was the teammate Chris Olave, also Marvin Harrison Jr. That was through the best wide receiver tandems I ever seen in college football. The season prior, that put up a lot of big numbers at Ohio State. But Smith-Njigba had a significant majority of those numbers. He had over 1,600 yards, um, 6 touchdowns. A lot of receptions, played a lot in the slot. And this article, man, talks about the Saints moving up in the draft, for just to get the services of Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Now, just to get something out of the way, this is me not hating on the Canal Street Chronicles or this writer Johnny Kramer. I believe it's a great outlet. I'm just sharing my opinion on the topic, and just want to get my thoughts in because I've been hearing a lot of chatter about them doing that. So, as for me, moving up for Jaxon Smith-Njigba, um, I would only take Jaxon Smith-Njigba at 29 and not move up for him. I think the Saints need to stay put in this year's draft, because you gotta those second round picks, those third round picks, those fourth round picks, fifth round picks. You can find a lot of value in those picks, and we didn't. In my opinion, we didn't get a chance to do that last year because we traded those picks to Philadelphia to you know the Washington Commanders to move up in the draft to put ourselves in a position to get Chris Olave out of Ohio State. So I think I'll only take Jackson Smith-Java if he stayed put. If we stayed put at 29. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe he would help out this offense significantly. He'll say he did a lot of damage in the slot as wide receiver at Ohio State, and he would fit perfectly with this offense. Perfectly. You know what I'm saying? You would have him, Jackson Smith-Java, Michael Thomas, Brian Jones, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Rashid Shaheed, and all of a sudden you have a really crowded and deep and efficient wide receiver room, and that's something, in my opinion, you didn't have last year. And also you got Traquan Smith. He could be let's keep letting Traquan Smith doing what he do best is with the blocking. But then again, he may get released because somebody ain't gonna make it. It's a crowded room with these weapons. But he can do a lot of things, after the catch. And it is true, based on what was said in this article, and me watching this guy play. He can do a lot of things after the catch, man. He can turn up once he gets the ball. He can get separation, get open, always seems to get wide open. Kind of similar to what Chris Olave did at Ohio State. There were just some dangerous weapons, man, back at with that program, man. All of them, all three of those guys knew how to get open, knew how to get behind the defensive back. And once they did that, it was going to pay dirt to the house. And Chris Olave did that a lot, along with um, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., and they also had Jameson Williams before he transferred to Alabama. So he had pro level wide receivers all over the field. But in the Rose Bowl, I remember his performance in the Rose Bowl from JSN where he torched Utah for 347 yards. 347 yards, man, in that game. He came back the next season, got injured, and it was never the same. they down, when the Ohio State went to the playoffs, you didn't have him on the field. But a lot of people were saying that if he was allowed, he was eligible to go pro after that Rose Bowl game where he went for three. That those injuries wouldn't have occurred. He could have. He probably would have been the top 5 to 10 pick in that draft. But due to the rules, he came back, got injured, and just kind of his draft stock just started plummeting, and then all these reports start coming out about him not being a capable WR1, and he's not this, he's not that. Maybe that's true, but for this offense, he'll help out. And I'm all for giving Derek Carr the best weapons on the outside as possible, much weapons as possible, especially at wide receiver, especially at tight end, because this is a quarterback wide receiver driven league, what you have right now, and wide receivers to come at a premium. And if the Saints gotta have three really good wide receivers along with Michael Thomas, that's not making a whole lot of money, I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying? But I just think it's just too costly for the Saints to move up in the draft right now. Unless you're getting somebody that's gonna take that you believe is capable of taking over Cam Jordan. That's gonna be your next great pass rusher for the next 8 to 10 years. That's the only way I think the Saints should move up in the draft to get somebody like that. But or a defensive tackle that you believe can come out there and get you, 6 to 9 sacks a year, a season from that position. Somebody that can send pressure up, that can pressure the quarterback from the inside. You know, that's the only way. But other than that, man, for move up for a wide receiver, I doubt it. I wouldn't do it. I hope the Saints don't do it. I'll only take JSN if he falls to the Saints. That's just my opinion. You know. And also, man, if you look at the draft order, man, there's a lot of other teams that could use Jaxon Smith-Njigba before the Saints. Baltimore's an option. Um, Baltimore, Giants, um, Dallas, maybe. A lot of teams that can use a wide receiver like this. The Titans, the Patriots. So he's gonna be a wanted prospect on the night of the draft, man. So the Saints just need to stay put. If he falls to 29, I'm all for it. But other than that, man, he's not, to me, man, not worth giving up assets in this year's draft to move up the tape, in my opinion. Because there's a lot of other guys outside of JSN that the Saints can add and probably have the same type of production, the same type of numbers. And I like this guy's upside, but he is not worth, to me, he's not worth moving up in the draft to get. He's not worth moving up to get assets moving assets to another team to get. In my opinion, I just rather him fall to 29. And if last year if the Saints didn't give up those picks to Philadelphia, the Saints would be picking at 10 in this year's draft. So you probably would have had a chance to get, like, if you had got Carr, let's just say you still had drafted Carr, not drafted Carr, but still signed Carr, you would have a chance to go get, shoot, Jordan Addison, at the 10 pick, Jordan Addison, Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. Some really good pass rushers, man. Offensive linemen, Paris Johnson, Peter Skornowski, there's Anton Harrison. So you would have a chance to have some really good players in that 10 spot. If the Saints didn't move up. But it is what it is now. And the Saints just they got at least they got a first round pick back from the Sean Payton deal. So we'll see how everything plays out. But that's still an opportunity for them to get a really good wide receiver if they really want one at 29, at 40, at 71. I think it's 71 in the third round. Even in the fourth round, they got some opportunities to get some really good wide receivers based on what I've seen from mocks, scouting reports, footage. There's value. There's gonna be value at that position, man. So I wouldn't move up to get Jaxon Smith-Njigba as much as I like him. So we'll just see how it play out. But you can't ever during the draft, man. You can't ever put nothing past the Saints because they always seem to do stuff outside the ordinary and do things, draft players out in left field that you never heard of, or make moves that you make, just like last year. So we'll just see everything play out. All right, that's all I have for y'all for right now, man. Give me a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know how you feel. Do you think the Saints should move up in the draft to take a wide receiver like Jaxon Smith-Njigba, or do you think the Saints should move up in the draft? Period. And take somebody else. Let me know in the comment section below. Have a blessed night. Peace. Be safe. I'm out. Who that?